to this month's Mom's Night Out online. Tonight we are going to be talking about the power of words, how powerful our words are and how they shape our lives and the lives of the people that we love and that we're caring for and our families. And I just want you to know that I'm super excited because I had this map up because I wanted to say this, that I went through and was looking at the people who attended and where they logged in to the meeting. And it showed that we had ladies on this Mom's Night Out last month from 6 different states. So in the short time that the Mom's Night Out's been going on, I think it's been about 5 months, we've had now ladies from 6 different states, and it may be more if I started to put them all together, and at least 3 different countries have logged in and been a part of these calls. And I got so excited when I saw that because I'm just sitting here in my bedroom tonight on a bouncy ball talking to you and sharing and creating something that I wished would have been available when I was before. I wish it would have been available for me. So I wanted to create something that I would have loved to have. And so to see that ladies are coming and attending, the word is spreading and getting out, which means that you're sharing it with your friends, means so much, and it's such an encouragement. I think it's amazing. So just yay God on what he's doing, and kudos to you ladies for coming, that you show up each month and you come and you're an encouragement and you're learning and you're giving me feedback. It's wonderful. So I'm just so excited to have you be a part of this. So welcome. I am truly glad you're here. Tonight is going to be another great night. I always say I hope you got something good to drink. I'm always here with my cup of water as usual. And because tonight we're going to be talking about the power of words. Tonight I want to talk about the one thing you should do before you speak. We're going to also talk about the 4 emotions that precede poor communication. Won't that be important to know? There are 4 emotions that typically precede every moment that we have of miscommunication or some type of poor communication. But for those of you who don't know me, since you're sharing this with your friends, and there might be some ladies on here who don't know me yet, here are my 7 treasures. My kiddos here, yes, you're seeing that right. That's 6 girls, 1 boy. And they range in age from age 18 down to my little peanut, who is 5. And I am about to celebrate the one in the bottom right corner. Is about to have a birthday on April 4th, and she will be turning 17. And I cannot understand where that went. He turned 18 last year, and I couldn't figure out what happened. I felt like somebody just, I don't know, it's like somebody just all of a sudden, boom, 18. I'm like, what's that about? And now when I look at her turning 17, I'm going, this is going way too fast. Everybody slow down. But here's a picture of me. You see me up there in the top corner. And I want you to know that as I have parented these 7 awesome people, that it's such a privilege to be with them and to be their mother, that I have also developed this deep inner mission to be what I always wanted for other women. I always wanted to have that woman that was a go-to resource for me, that I could trust that what she said was true, because she not only backs it up with scripture and lives a lifestyle of faith, but she's lived it. She's not telling me an idea or something that she read or something that sounds good, but she's sharing things that she says, this was my walk, this was my journey I'm sharing with you. And that's what I desire to do. Because if there's moms out there like me who understand that their children are a gift and a blessing from God, and they're committed to doing what it takes to be the intentional parent that their child needs and deserves, they're going to face challenges. There's going to be some hardships out there. Like as soon as you say you want to be focused and intentional, and then you're in this society that's highly distractible and has all kinds of things to get our mind's attention and our children's hearts, there's challenges you're going to face. And so I want to be the one who gives that rock-solid guidance to say, well, here's what's true. Here's what's possible. Let's lean into that, and let's lean heavily upon God, and let's walk this journey together. And that's why I'm here. So if you want to reach out to me in any way, I have the website there, Susan C., that's how you pronounce my last name, susanc.com. You can always reach out to me on Facebook. I post there regularly. And my mission with posting on social media is to be an interruption in your news feed. I will not hide that agenda. I really want to be a place that when you see me in the news feed, that there's an encouragement there, there's something worth reading, there's something worth thinking on or praying about or talking about with your husband or with your children. You won't see posts from me with the funny cat videos. They are funny, and there's nothing wrong with those. But mine is going to always be around building rock-solid relationships in your home. That's what it's all about for me. So we're ready to jump in because tonight is all about sharing with you about the power of words. So I have this picture here on the screen, and I have this on here not because that's necessarily what my table looks like at dinner time. It's definitely not what my table looks like. This is actually a picture that was taken by my daughter, and on my screen it's fuzzy right now, and I'm not sure why, but it's not a fuzzy picture. It's very sharp that she took. I just wanted you to have something pretty to look at. So please do not have the standard that this is how the C table looks at dinner and we've got fresh flowers and candles and, no, not at all. It's our table. If you want to picture it with a little bit of like ketchup and probably some syrup on there and chip dust, and it'd be two different kinds of chip dust because we didn't have enough potato chips at lunch today. So some people had potato chips and some people had tortilla chips and all kinds of other little things. In other words, it's a real table with real people in a real house. This one was a set that she was doing some pictures from. So, good. Maybe it'll inspire you, Jerry, to get you some water. So join that. Let that be refreshing and enjoy that. So I just wanted you to have something to picture because I'm going to ask you to imagine something in your mind, and you have something beautiful to look at as you're imagining this scenario. And we're jumping into the teaching on words. So imagine this scenario. For the first 5 minutes, or for 5 minutes in the day, if you were to just complain and fuss and recount blow by blow any disappointments that are going on in your life and talk about how bad things are going, and you would just go on and on and on with this posture for 5 minutes as you just talk about what's not working and what's no good and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Just go on and on and on. And I want you to really imagine this. Like, picture what your face would look like and picture what your eyes look like in your body and the tone of your voice. Is your voice loud when you're doing this, or is your voice soft? But you're just going on and on and on about what's not good, what's not great. You're fussing about it. You're sharing the disappointments. And now I want you to jump in the chat box because I want you to share with me, what do you think the atmosphere of your home would be like after that 5 minutes? What do you think your family would be experiencing? What do you think the communication would be like? It would be tense. It's a great description. It sounds like the way my toddler wakes up. Isn't that the truth? I get that, Elizabeth. What else would be happening if it's just all about what's not good, what's not working, what's disappointing? Anybody else think it might be, it might spread like wildfire, like it starts with you and other people start to pick it up? Oh, condemnation. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I see Susan's typing. Yes, Susan's already there. She's like, we mamas, we set the tone. It does. Negativity does spread. Absolutely. And it creates this atmosphere of all of those things, of tension and condemnation. Now imagine this other scenario. Imagine instead for 5 minutes in the day, you do the opposite. You're smiling and you're listing all the things that you've seen that are blessings and the things that you show gratitude for and appreciation for. And you're telling the people that you love how you appreciate them, and what you just go on and on and on about how good life is. And then imagine your face when you're saying these things. What does your face look like? And what do your eyes look like? And what does your body look like? And what's the tone of your voice now? Is your voice loud, or is it soft during this? Now tell me, what do you think the atmosphere of your home would be like for the rest of the day? Yes, peaceful. People in the house would be smiling. Yes. What else? I'm sure the home would feel like a safe place. Yeah. Yeah, I love. Susan had to exhale. She says, peace would reign in the home. Yeah, it would bring a sense of quiet, right? It may not be literal quiet, but there's a difference between children happily playing and children who are playing in this roughhousey, anxious way. Like they're playing because they're anxious because they don't quite feel safe. Yes, they would be trying to live up to that constantly. Yes, absolutely. It changes the atmosphere, and that is the best way I know to describe the power of our words. Is when you think about if you just for 5 minutes chose one path versus another, the impact that the words have that you shared is this representation of the power of the words that we share. Yet our words can become so careless as they flow from our mouths. We can become so not paying attention, not noting how we're impacting and setting the tone in conversation, in relationship, in our home, and our words just flow from us and they just go and they're casual. And we're not intentional, and we're not on purpose, and we're not paying attention. And tonight, my goal is very simple. I just want to heighten our awareness in those areas where we've become dull about our words, where we've become casual. I want to say, let's not be casual. Let's be very intentional. Let's be very focused on how we're using our words because they matter. Our words make a difference. Our words are shaping our world. And they're shaping the world of our children, of what's possible for them. What's the potential for them? And so as we talk about that and we think about those things, I think about the fact that when this first picture that I want to show you here, I thought this is what it made me think of when I thought of the words that we're sharing and we're fussing and complaining. Like it feels like a TKO to those who are listening to him. I mean, look at his face and look at his mouth. He's like, ugh, like he's just like knocked out. Have there ever been times when maybe we've shared our words and this is the impact that they had? Like they just had a full-on punch to other people. We're just venting and sharing all the stuff that we're frustrated by, but the impact on another person is just a knockout. But the opposite is also possible too, where we're sharing the blessings and our appreciation and our gratitude. And look at these pictures. I love these shots of these mamas and their babies. Like it's just this sense of love and care. And that bottom right one, just such trust. I mean, he just looks like his mama could tell him anything in that moment. Or it's a little boy, I think. It's like mama could tell me anything in this moment, and she has my full attention. I love these images. And I hope these images help you to frame in your mind or give you a visual of the power and the impact of our words. So as we jump into this, I thought about how there's two ways that we communicate. One is through our words, true enough, and the other is through listening. And this month, we're going to focus on words. And next month for our Mom's Night Out, I really want to talk about listening. And I struggle sometimes when I'm pulling together the information for these nights because there's so much that I want to share. And I have to be mindful of the time because I want to honor your time. And I don't want to overload you with too much info. I want it to be enough to encourage you and to bring you in, but not cause you to feel like, oh, man, that was so much. My brain is like done. It is the end of the day, and we are moms, and we got full plates. So I think what we're going to do next month is let's talk about listening next month. And I've been to a workshop on listening, and some of the things they shared in there, I just went, if more moms had this information, how they could just shift the way they operate with their children and the way that they engage in the relationships with their children, with their husbands, with their friends, with everyone. Because it's crucial to communication. It's not just about the words that we share, but about how we listen to other people, how we validate what they have to say through our actions and our posturing and as we listen. And so that's what we'll be doing next month. But tonight we're going to talk about words. And I found this scripture in Matthew 12:34, and it says, your heart, not the dictionary, that gives meaning to your words. Isn't that just rich? I don't know if we have any dictionary nerds in the group, people who just love to look up the words in the dictionary and see their meaning. I find that so interesting, and it's so neat to see the root of words and what they mean. But I love that the scripture says those are really good in helping to understand the root of a word. But what really matters is the intention behind the words, the heart behind those words. That's what gives meaning to what we're sharing. Because the truth is, we are always communicating. I actually have a book on my shelf, and it's called We Can't Not Communicate. It's not one of those double negative titles that makes your brain go a little twisty. But we are always communicating. And so if we're going to always communicate, how important is it for us to know how to communicate well, what we should say, how we should say it, and for us to be mindful of our words and the fact that they are always communicating, because it can become casual for us. It can become, oh, I just said that. I didn't really mean it, kind of things. If you ever heard your children say that to one another, I was just saying that. I didn't really mean it. And we said, no, you can't even just say that, because it's just not okay to say those things. We want to be reminding ourselves that we have complete control over our conversations. It says at any time that we're in a conversation with someone, there's actually two conversations going on. There's the conversation that's audible, that's the words that we're saying, and then there's that inaudible conversation that's happening up in our minds. Anybody got a lot of mind chatter going on in their world? I know that there is in mine. And I will share with you what I call that mind chatter. I call it the committee. I say that anytime something happens, the committee convenes, and they come together and they call a meeting, and they start to share all kinds of things. The hard part about that is that the committee tends to be negative. So it's late at night. The phone rings. Immediately the committee convenes. Oh, my gosh, something happened. And I'm thinking about who's not home, because my son, he works Chick-fil-A, and sometimes he closes and it's late. And, it's like, is everybody good? Is everybody home? What could be happening? Like an instant committee convention has happened, and they go straight negative. But when I remember that I have complete control over conversations, over what comes out of my mouth and what's happening in the committee, in that mind chatter, I can shut the committee down and say, okay, no. Like, we are so not going there. Like, we are not going to believe the worst. We're going to believe the best. We are not going to dwell on what's happened before. We're going to talk about what is now. We're going to talk about how big God is, not how big our challenges are. All of that is completely in the control. Now, I don't want to say that as if I've got that all together, because I am a recovering angry mommy. Like, I remember vividly the times where I struggled with feeling so angry. And that would probably be a whole nother mom's night out about what the root of that stuff was that I had to root up at, like, just bring it up and say, so not okay. Like, so can't live here. This is not it. This is not what God has called me to. But that the key was that I had to frame it in my mind. I had to renew my mind to the truth of who I am and what God has called me to, what He has enabled me to do, so that I could remind myself in moments like that, hello, you have complete control over the conversation right now, over what you say and what the committee is convening over. You can dismiss that committee meeting in an instant. You can turn the lights out, shut the door, and say, we're not having this meeting right now. Or you can listen to the committee meeting and join them in the negativity. I choose not to. I choose not to. And the goal was for me to not to choose and opt in to that committee meeting less and less. So less and less that I attend the committee meetings. Until now, it's almost instantaneously that I shut the committee meeting down. I still have my moments. I still have my days where I go, ooh, let the committee kind of run wild today, and I can tell it because now I'm anxious and I'm a little irritable. I let them go on a little bit too long. But I can also find that when I have victory over those moments and those opportunities, and I'll share one recently, I have my kids, especially my little ones, love to say that they love my tummy because it jiggles, and it's just so fun. And trust me, when they say that, there's an instant committee meeting that convenes over that whole conversation. Like, wait, did they just say that they love to play with my belly because it jiggles and it's like jelly, and they got this whole, like, we like to poke it, Mom. It's so fun. Wait a minute. Okay, so y'all are not joining me in the chat box, but come on. When your babies are like, Mom, can we play with your tummy because it's so jiggly? Hold on. That does not send warm, fuzzy moments where you're like, yeah, there could be a conversation in that moment, and I don't know that it would be encouraging and lifting them up or any of that. It would be, wait, what did you say? Oh, there you go. There we go. That. Okay, I know I'm amongst friends. Ladies, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Jerry. You guys totally get what I'm saying, right? Oh, I've never even heard it called that, Donita. Love lines? But that's beautiful. I love that. But yes, they point out things about your body, and it can be an instant moment where, had I not been in practice of being watchful over my words, I could have said something in defense of myself that would have caused them to feel bad or to feel hurt or to feel disappointed or confused about Mom's reaction. Because the truth is, when they say those things, they mean them so innocently. They're coming to me with joy and delight. They're really not coming to hurt me. It would be my own reaction to what they're saying that would cause me to say words that would be so painful and hurtful to them. That would be that image that I showed at the beginning. Let me go back up to it. That I could have a reaction and say something that would cause them to feel that, like TKO'd, like where did Mom come from with that? We were just saying how much we love her belly or her love lines, right? Or the squishiness of Mommy because she's just so squishy. Yes, but instead, we get to be watchful of our words, mindful of our words, so that we don't cause this for them. We don't cause them to feel like, what just happened right there? We can remind ourselves in that moment that we have complete control over our conversation, which is so awesome. I also wanted to bring up that there's 4 different types, painful yet powerful words that we can use, because words are indeed powerful, but they can be painfully powerful, and we don't want that. One of those types of words is criticism. Phrases like, why do I always have to tell you this 5 times before you get it right? What is it with you? Like those kinds of questions that just have this critical nature to them, this critical tone to them that feels this heaviness and this burden. Another one is complaining. We talked about that one already. They're complaining about everything. Oh, these kids, they're going to drive me crazy. They're just too much. It's just all just if I could just get a break. Now, I get it. Now, please don't hear me saying, oh, moms don't need a break. We're always good. I'm saying the complaining thing that creates a painful reaction in some other, and the kids when they hear that. The next one is conflict. That conflict moment where there's just this whole aspect to communication where we want to ask ourselves, are we communicating God's plan, and are we really moving towards what God wants for us? Or in this moment, are we communicating our own personal plan and our own personal agenda? And that's something that we can ask when we're looking at conflict is this about me right now, or is this really about what I believe is true according to what God is leading and saying in my heart? And that's when we can get to painful and yet powerful words, because we get stuck in our own personal agenda, and we're sticking with that, buddy, because we're staying there because I know what's right, and from my perspective it's right, so I'm sticking with it. And we go straight on into creating a powerful and painful conversation. Or comparison. Oh, this is one that we've talked briefly about in other Moms Nights Out, and this is just a conversation that cannot be won. Like, nobody comes out of this one good. Because you go into comparison, which is an absolute trap, and you either come out feeling better about yourself than you should, or you come out feeling worse about yourself than you should. But you never come out the way that God sees you. You never come out of a comparison conversation saying, well, this is how God sees me, and this is what's accurate and true, because God is always right. Instead, you're like, man, she does this better than me, and well, or I do that better than her. You know, and it's like, wait, you're either seeing yourself better than you should or seeing yourself worse than you should, but you're never seeing yourself according to what's true. And that's what we want to stick with. We want to be in the positively powerful words, and those look like encouragement and correction and building up. And some people might even look at correction and go, wait a minute, that's positively powerful? Absolutely. God's word tells us that when you correct, it's because you love. It's a loving thing to do to share correction and to be willing to say what's right when someone's in error. That's a loving thing to do. So yes, that is absolutely positive, especially when it's done in a positive way. Remember, the heart is what determines the meaning of the words, not the dictionary. So you can be saying it right, but you want to make sure your heart is right. But what are some other words that you all can think of? Like, what are some other words that are positively powerful that would go along with encouragement and building up? And gratitude. I like that. Good, Elizabeth. Thank you for sharing. How about loving? Anyone else got some words? I see Susan typing. Some positively powerful words that would go along with encouragement and building up and correction and gratitude. Oh, purpose. Yes. When we call people back to a sense of purpose and we remind them of that they were born with a purpose, that they have a purpose, that they are not an accident, that looking for something to happen, that there's direction built within their DNA, that is positively powerful. Oh, thinking about comparison, 2 Corinthians 10:12. Instead of saying what's wrong with you, say what's happened to you. I like that, Heidi. I like asking my children, instead of what's wrong with you, I'll ask them what's happened. Oh, I like what's happening, but I'll say something like, tell me about what's happening for you or what's going on in your world. Tell me what you're thinking right now or what you're feeling. I get deep into what are they thinking and what are they feeling, right? Because what we do is a reflection of what we're thinking. We walk out our thoughts. We walk out what we believe is true in that moment. So I want to know, what are you thinking? What's happening in there? What is it that you know that I don't know right now because I want to really address that. I say to moms all the time when I'm talking to them is that I want to always, when I'm working with my children, get to the root and not just deal with the fruit. And let me explain what that means. Like if you imagine a tree that has fruit on it, let's take an apple tree. There's a tree and there's the apples. The actions that our kids are taking, the words that they're saying, or the lack of action, hello, we could talk about that too, the lack of action, it's really a fruit. And there's a thought pattern or a belief system that's feeding that, and that's the root, and that's what we want to deal with. So anytime we just start dealing with the fact that they're hitting one another or arguing with one another, and we just want to stop the argument, we're dealing with the fruit issue. Now, what is the root of that argument, or what is the root of that hitting? That's getting to the root of the issue. That's getting to what really matters. What's behind that? And when we deal with what's behind it, then we can cut it off. And then we won't have to deal with the fruit anymore. The fruit just goes away. But if we constantly are dealing with fruit, we will wear ourselves out because there's always more rotten fruit when there's a bad root. I feel like I'm rhyming a little bit too much here, but I hope you're getting the point. Like, let's not just deal with the symptoms. Let's not deal with what the actions are and the words are, but let's be willing to get down to what are they thinking and believing in that moment. Because if we look at the principle in Scripture, there's something that we think or that we believe that leads to every action. And so when you look at in Scripture all the times that someone doubted God, it caused them to then do actions that reflected that doubt that took them down the wrong path. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We sometimes think that we know better than God. So we walk that out. And then lo and behold, we get the fruit of that belief system, which is rotten fruit. And we don't want the rotten fruit. We want good stuff. Now, I see something popped up. It's challenging with the 3-year-old boy, hard to get to the root, but he can't really express it. Oh, no doubt. That's the great thing about 3-year-olds is they're really pretty. They can be complex in some ways, but they're pretty simple, right? They're motivated by food. They're motivated by sleep. So you can start to whittle those things down and going, okay, is he tired? Is he hungry? What's going on behind that? And if it's just as simple of I want my way, I want to do it my way. And that is something that we can deal with because we get to show them that it's actually not going to be your way because you have a loving God who gave you a mom and a dad who love you and are willing to teach you what's right. And the right thing in this moment is not to hit or not to scream or not to arch your back and try to go slack in the store because I said you can't have that. And I'm willing to hold the line of the right thing because I love you enough to do that. Remember, that goes back to that correction is the positive and empowering to do. And if you have more questions about that, Elizabeth, I'd love to talk with you about that one-on-one. If I'm not quite reaching it and you really could use some help with that, you email me and we'll set up a time, get on the phone. We'll talk about it. So we talked about those positively powerful words. And there's one thing that we want to do before we ever speak, and that is think. And we want to think, is what I'm about to say true? Is what I'm about to say helpful, inspiring, necessary, or is it kind? So as you're preparing to speak, preparing to share, and you're going to use your words and you're committed to not using those painfully powerful words, but you want to really use words that will make a difference and be positive to those who hear and positively shape your world, I encourage you to, before you speak, think about it. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Now, I have one caveat with this. Because some of you might look at these questions and get to the word necessary and decide that what you have to say is not necessary. Like, I don't need to say that. They already know. No, I don't need to say that because, well, they might not want to hear that, or it might not go well. So, it'll play out. It'll play out. It'll be okay. Let me speak to that mom right now who would get to the word necessary and decide that what they need to say is not necessary. Now, I want to put the context around it to say that, remember, before we speak, we want to think. This is to help us, to give us a tangible tool so that we don't go into the painful part of the communication. But we're not sharing words that are painful. But necessary, your words are necessary. You are a gift to your husband. You are a gift to your family. And they need to hear what you have to say. So you withholding your words and deeming them as not necessary or not needing to be shared is actually a hurt and a harm to your family, though to you it may seem like a safe thing to do, a safe action to take. They need to hear from you. You have wisdom. You have ideas. And those things are valuable, and they are gifts from God. Don't withhold your gifts. This is about you sharing. Remember the communicating, whether you're communicating your personal plan or God's plan, to see that when you have something that you're burning in your heart to say, to ask yourself, is that your plan or God's plan? And if it's God's plan because you believe it to be true and the right thing, share it. Might that cause conflict? Possibly. But I would not say that all conflict is a bad thing. Conflict is going to happen. It's inevitable if you have two people in conversation or two people in relationship. Conflict is going to happen. So to try to avoid conflict is impossible. It's going to happen. It is. Are you entering into conflict in a positive manner, handling it in a positive manner, and believing that this conflict is necessary on an issue because it matters to God? This is an issue worthy of us having this dialogue. That's the key. But please, I don't want you to read necessary. And if you are in that place where you go, well, yeah, you know what, it's not really necessary. I don't need to share that. I wanted to speak to those moms who might camp out on that word and check out each time and go, well, there's my out. Not really necessary. I won't say it. Please don't. Your family so needs to hear what you have to say, and what you have to say is so valuable and so worthy, and it will make a difference because, remember, our words are powerful, and they shape our lives and the lives of our family. And I just have one last thing that I wanted to share here, and that is the 4 emotions that tend to precede poor communication. So if you're going to stop and think about is it true, is it helpful, is it inspiring, is it necessary, is it kind, I want you to also be on alert for these 4 emotions. Has anyone heard or seen this? The halt. The hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. These are 4 emotions that are present right before there's going to be a miscommunication. There's going to be someone who didn't understand what another person said or meant. So there's an abundance of reaction to an ounce of a statement. All of that precede. These 4 precede all of those. So if you think about a time where you misunderstood something or there was conflict over something that you think, really, that was not that big a deal? Why are we having this conflict? Think back to this. So I want us to brainstorm together. You guys know I don't want to just share and you guys nod and agree and go, that's good stuff, and we all leave. I really want to give you something tangible that's very important to me. So I want us to brainstorm together. Based on what I just shared about the hungry, angry, lonely, tired, the halt, when should you probably not try to have an important conversation? Think about times in the day or interactions with your family Oh, before dinner. Very good, Heidi. Yes. When your husband first gets home from work. Yes. When I am tired. Absolutely. Yet, as parents, when are usually those times when we want to try to engage in a conversation that hasn't happened yet? It's like, oh, good, you're home. Finally, we can talk about this, right? We want to jump in. Like, oh, good, the kids are finally in bed. It's been a long day. Now we can talk, and we try to engage in this conversation. Oh, in the morning. Okay, so if you have little ones in the house and you've been up all night, you could be in that hungry, you could be in that tired space. Because you want to think about when would you not want to have a conversation. If you can go to that place quickly and say, I'm feeling kind of hungry, it's been a long day, I'm tired, it's probably not going to be the best time for us to have this serious conversation. So tell you what, how about let's flip it. When your husband, okay, wait, Susan's saying I second it. When your husband first arrives home from work, he's usually getting attacked in a good way by lots of children when he walks through the door. And I think that is a good way. Like, that's wonderful. That goes to creating that second set of images, right? Where there's this a loving atmosphere in that. I love seeing that, and I love imagining that in your home. So let's flip this now. So based on what we've heard, when would be a good time to have a conversation? We've said the times that it would not be, but when would be a good time? I see you typing there. Oh, yeah. Remember, like I talk about this like it's, nostalgic, but in some houses it really is. The dinner table, the family dinner table. There's something about you've satisfied the hunger, you've satiated all of the anxiousness of the day. So if they were angry about something, the meal and the time together can bring that down. The togetherness of the family around the table handles that loneliness, and it revives and refreshes you so that you're not as tired as you felt when you first came through the door. So, yes, after a good meal, after dinner, yes, and when the dishes are done and we're sitting down, that could be a great time for the family or for you and your husband to visit. Absolutely. With the husband, after the children have been tucked in bed, we can sit down for tea and a nice treat and talk. Absolutely. We do like to talk in the evening after the kids are in bed if we are purposeful about being together. Beautiful. And I like to talk to the kids after mid-morning devotion. I love that high heat, and I feel the same. I have a great time of sharing with them after I've also had some time to be in the Word, to be prayerful, have great conversations with them after that. Yes, with the children after supper, definitely after the kitchen's been cleaned up. It helps everyone feel a little bit more relaxed. Yes, yes. When those four emotions are off the table, when they're no longer key factors to consider, you can get so much done. Now, life happens. Will there be times when maybe we're having a trip with the family and we're all of those, and we need to talk about where we're going to stay tonight because the hotel we plan to stay in, we don't want to, now that we're here, we're not staying there kind of thing. Yes, absolutely. There are going to be times, but that's the moment when you make that commitment, excuse me, when you make that commitment that we're going to have this conversation, but we're going to stay positive. We're going to remember that we're blessed to even be on this trip. We're blessed to be here right now. We are blessed to call on a God who provides for our every need, and then we're going to handle whatever situation has come up. But on a regular basis, we don't want to try to have these conversations when we're feeling hungry or angry or lonely or tired or all four at the same time. I love Jerry saying she could have great conversations on a 3-hour drive alone with her hubby. Absolutely, right? Like you got nothing but you and him and miles of road ahead of you. Great time to have a conversation. Matter of fact, when you know those types of opportunities are coming up, you can start to stockpile some conversations, right? Like there's some conversations that never quite get complete, so you're never sure, did we make a decision or not make a decision? What are we doing with this whole thing? You can say, wait, we've got this trip coming up, and we'll be on the road together for 3 hours. We can really go back and forth on this. But the key is you're going to want to make sure that you're fed before you get on the road, everybody's rested, to the best of your ability, everything's good together. Right, Susan saying, yep, halt and think. I love it. I love it. It feels like a stop, drop, and roll kind of thing. Oh, awesome. Elizabeth is having an insight. I love that. I love seeing what you guys are getting in the chat. I love that feedback, and I'm glad to know that that's helpful. And I'm glad that we had that time to brainstorm together, because now that these things, now that your awareness is heightened about your words, you're going to face some challenges in this coming up week, and I want to arm you with having that time to think about when are some good times to have conversations, what are some things that might be present that are affecting us having good communication in this moment, what's going on, and you can go back and say, let me halt, let me think, what's happening, how do we want to address this, and you can teach this for your children, you can model this for your children, and the entire atmosphere and your culture of your home will change, because as you move forward and share, you are affecting the atmosphere because your words are powerful, and then you're teaching and modeling for your family how to set the entire tone of your household. So you're all rowing in the same direction. That's how I like to describe it. Like if you picture us as a family and we're in the boat and everybody's got their hands on an oar, we want to all be rowing in the same direction. So when you come to things like this Mom's Night Out, and you hear these things and you get reminded of what's true and what's good and what's praiseworthy and what's noteworthy and who you are in Christ and what He is equipping you to do, then you can go back to your family. You can share these things with them, whether directly or just in living it out, and they adopt the same mindset. And you guys are all rowing in the same direction. And isn't that just a beautiful picture of enjoying time on the river? Because we're all rowing and going in the same direction, and we're taking in the scenery, versus everybody rowing in their own direction, and the boat just kind of spins and spins and spins. That's not a great trip experience. So I'm going to pause here. If there are any questions, because that's really all that I wanted to share with you all for tonight. Or if you've had an insight, like Elizabeth is sharing, she's seeing an aha there about her Charlie and what's going on with him. If any of the rest of you have had an insight, or you have a question for me, or you have a thought, because I know that you all are some pretty powerful women in the chat room. Like, this is not all what I can share, but what you guys also bring to the table. Then I'd love to hear that in this moment. I'd love to hear from you. And if I don't see anybody typing, love halt makes so much sense. Oh, good. Good. I'm so glad to know that. I think I see maybe Susan is typing. It went away on me, so I don't see. Maybe Tracy. Oh, Susan, man, you are so sweet. Thank you, Susan, for sharing that. That's awesome. Well, I am completely committed to being here again with you all next month, where we're going to be talking about listening and give you some tools on how to be a good listener and how to be with your children and really hear from them, give them some your full attention, and how there's some things that we do that communicate that they're worthy and that they're loved and that what they share is safe. And we can do some things to damage that message and not even know it. And I went to a workshop all about listening, and I want to come back and share these things with you. So I look forward to doing that. If you want to mark your calendars and save the date, we'll be back here on April the 28th. Yes. Hey, Susan, you're on it. Yes. Yes, April the 28th. A while ago, I realized that when I go to church without dinner on Wednesday night, I get cranky. So now I'm eating first so I can focus better. Yes. Yes. That's a great insight, Derry. Yes. And for you ladies, I'd love to give you just an update on what's going on for me. I am in the process of writing a book, and my goal is for it to be out by June of this year. So if you all, if I cross your mind, or if I come across your news feed and Facebook or wherever, if you see me, I would appreciate your prayers for this process. I am experiencing many a challenge with this book, and not in a negative way. It's just being a clear communicator, the very thing I'm talking about, making sure that the words I say are powerful and impactful and clear, and that's the real key. Is what I'm saying clear? Does that make sense, or does it just make sense in my head? And I'll be meeting with my editor tomorrow and doing some work, and I would just appreciate your prayers for this whole process, because we are getting to the place of deadlines, and I want to honor my commitment to get it. So thank you so much for your prayers for that, because behind the book, there's some trainings that I want to create using just this kind of platform with moms in mind. And I want to just honor the book first, and then I want to be able to move into those trainings and really dig deep into some different topics that I think would be a blessing to you. So if you think of something that you could use, if you're like, hey, Susan, would you talk about this on a mom's night out? Or if you have a direct question, do feel free to email me. I am here for you. I am committed that God has called me to do this work, and that he has given me the time and the energy as well as the wisdom that's needed for this calling. So please do not feel like you're interrupting me. Oh, she's busy. I don't want to reach out to her. If I'm busy, I don't mind letting you know that. But I also want to communicate to you that you are important to me, and I am here for you. So please don't hold back. If you have a question, let me know. The book is about being an intentional parent. Elizabeth, great question. It's called, the working title is The Intentional Parent. That might change. There's some other conversation going on, but I want to equip parents to create a strategic plan on how they are raising their children, the core values that they have in their family, and operating from those core values so that they don't go straight to all of the parenting experts. If you could picture my hands doing air quotes, I find that that's a real trend among us parents. When we want to do the best we can, that we go straight to seeking out experts that can help us, but in the end that can heap such burden upon us. And a lot of times it's because we weren't clear on what was most important to us as a family first, and then seek out the guidance that we need in order to do what we believe God called us to. So, yes, Elizabeth, I did talk about that on that podcast, yes. So that's really where I'm coming from with that book, is just helping families to identify their core values. And I think a lot of us create goals at the beginning of the year. And if you think about couples that are getting married and how much they plan out their wedding, and all of the time and attention we give to those kinds of things. And I say, our family is the most important group and organization we'll ever be a part of. And what about the goals and creating strategic plans for how we want to really honor God with the gifts that are our children and our homes. So that's what I'm writing on. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support and being here. I know that's a big deal because we've all got so much going on in our day. So thank you so much for your support in this. And I do pray that it's a blessing to you. I look forward to being back here on the 28th. And I'll just put it up here again. If you do need to reach out to me, there's the website, there's Facebook, there's my email address. I look forward to hearing from each one of you. And I don't see any questions coming through, and you ladies are so welcome. But if you do need to reach me in between time, that's the way to do it. And until then, I will see you ladies next month. Bye. Oh, thank you, Jerry. Good night.